First, let's let this disclaimer get through. I am not a certified CPA, a financial advisor, or any kind of legal guru. I'm just a man that's telling the stories from my experiences and experiences of others. Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to tell a story today. It's a little bit about one of the first jobs I got outside of the dairy farm. When I got 18 years old or so, I decided to move to the big city and get me a job away from this dairy. And I went to Baton Rouge. I was renting a 20-foot camper trailer for $75 a month that was falling apart. It was in a trailer park, but I digress. It was a camper trailer. It wasn't a camper park. It was a camper house trailer park. I looked around and found a job. Now, these younger generation probably don't remember this, but back in them days, people took pictures with a regular camera that had a roll of film in it. And they'd send that film in and it would get developed and they'd get an envelope with their pictures in it. Well, I found a job working in a lab that developed these pictures. So they would go around during the day, little car, go from Walgreens to different stores and pick up the rolls of film, bring them in. Then at night, we would develop these film, then print them. Basically, you had to develop the negative, take a picture of that negative onto a piece of paper, then develop the paper to get a picture. And that was my job, working in that lab. And I started off just sorting the canisters of film, putting them in a rack. Went from there, they moved me into the dark room, which all that developing takes chemicals, and in a big way, in a big lab like that. They put me in the back to learn how to mix the chemicals. Then they put me in the other part where they took the pictures of the film, the negative onto the paper, and went it through another dark room and developed it, and it went back out across a sorting table where they would get chopped up into individual people's pack of envelopes and get sent back home to them. Anyway, I got this job. I went from one position to the next position, the next position. You know, they wanted me to learn the whole lab. I don't know why they picked me instead of everybody else, but they wanted me to learn everything in the lab in case somebody didn't show up for work or somebody quit, I could take their place. They was paying me $3.25 an hour. That is $3.25 per hour. This is around 1981, 82. And they told me when they hired me, so if you work 3 months, you'll get a raise. Well, I could handle this for 3 months. I mean, I wasn't making, well, you can do the math, it wasn't much. I was making per week, 40 hours a week. And I worked this job and I kind of enjoyed it. It was technical and kind of sciencey type thing. I kind of enjoyed it. And I worked for 3 months. Went to my boss, said, hey, I've been here 3 months, I'm ready for that raise. He said, okay, no problem. So I worked another week, got my next check. They give me a raise, $1. $1, that was it. that was the last day I worked at there. So I got $3.35 an hour. I mean, I couldn't even hardly feed myself with that. Even back in them days, that was just no money. So I have to intervene here. During editing, I noticed this story took a life of its own. And so in the Words of the famous Paul Harvey. Now the rest of the story. I left there, moved back home. My parents was begging me to come back home because they needed help on the farm. And I said, oh, okay, you know, I can do that. I come back home on the farm and went back into helping my parents' dairy. And he slowly increased more and more cows, you know. And I think we got up, I don't know, at that time, probably 105, 110, 130 cows or something, you know. And, well, I met a little girl, ended up getting married. She got pregnant. And the day my daughter was born, I left the hospital after she was born because I had ordered these cows from Wisconsin. And they were coming in on a trailer, and I had to go. The man had called me and told me I needed to come pick and choose what cows I wanted because he brought a bunch of them, and I was going to pick and choose 10 of them for my dairy. And that's all I could afford was 10. So I did. I went, left the hospital, came up there, and, you know, I knew what I was doing. I'd been in dairy, you know, on the farm all my life. I picked and chose the 10 best looking cows that I seen, paid the man for them, cash. I did not believe in credit or debit or whatever. Brought them on home, and at that point in time, my dad had like 100 and something head of cows, and I had 10 cows. So we just marked them with different tags. He had yellow tags in the cow's ears, and I had orange tags. That's how we can keep them separated. And we would weigh the milk that my cows were given once a month. And basically going by that, that's how I got paid. It's the end of the month, whenever we got our paycheck, I got a percentage of whatever my cows was given. And I decided, you know, if I'm gonna be in a dairy, I'm gonna do it right. I studied and I researched. And at this point in time, all the jobs have had, I can probably say I know more about dairy farming than anything because I studied everything. Each one of our cows had their own particular diet for that cow. We would hire specialists to come in and grade our cows and pick certain bulls to breed that cow so she would have a better calf. You know, different word, bloodline. And this went on. I kept building my dairy herd up. I got up to 100 head, and at that time my dad had probably 105 head. He had sold some of them over the years. And so we took 5 of his cows and sold them, you know, he sold them, and we incorporated the dairy. We both had the same amount of cows. So we incorporated and had a corporation from then on. And that worked good, you know. We had a company that would come out every month, weigh the cow's milk, grade the milk as to how much butter fat and all they had. And, you know, that's how we knew how much each one of us got paid. And anything over that, which is at that point in time, it was a corporation, so we both got the same pay, and what was left stayed in a farm account for the dairy expenses. But like I say, I pondered over that dairy night and day. I studied the records. I knew which cow, who their mother was and their father was and their calf was and how much milk they give per day and how, you know, their particular diet for each cow. You try to figure 200 diets and make sure that each one of them gets that diet every day. It's a lot. You know, I used to get so aggravated. I see a movie and it shows some dairy farmer always drove around in a 1940 something truck with a straw hat and overalls, a piece of grass hanging out of the mouth. Well, let me tell you, it's not like that. There's a lot more goes into farming these days. It's technical, computerized. I mean, I stayed on the computer doing book work and studying and researching, and there's a lot goes into it. And then the big corporations come in. They didn't buy out the dairies, they bought the plants where we sold our dairy. When they took over the plants, it's kind of like a corporate takeover. They took over them plants, and at that time, they said, well, we're only gonna give you this amount for your milk, which was less than what it cost to produce it. We were probably getting 75% of what it was costing us to produce it. In different words, we were paying $12 per 100 pounds of milk, and it was costing us $16 per 100 pounds of milk to produce. So things got stressful. And it wasn't just me, it was all the farms, all the dairies. And it got to a point where I was so stressed, so ill, that I was probably about to have a nervous breakdown. I would come home, and I had 3 kids by this time, and they would be a crying and what have you, and I'd be like a bear just ready to eat them, you know. I was ill. And one day I thought to myself, you know, it's not worth this. My family don't deserve this. So the next morning, I went back to the dairy, milked the cows. About that time, my dad walks up. I said, look, they're going to the sale. I've had enough. I'm gonna send them to an auction and sell them. He said, that's what you want to do? I said, that is what I want to do. So I got with a couple of different auctioneers and found one that I liked the best and sent them to the auction and sold them. And that was it. That felt like somebody took that tractor and, or a 10-ton weight and just lifted it off my shoulder. I was done with the stress. And I love, you know, I spent my life there and I love it. I enjoyed it. But for years after that, I would drive down the road and I'd see a crop of corn or something, I'd slow down and look at it. You know, it's just in you. It's part of your blood. I hear truck drivers say that driving trucks are in their blood. Well, dairying gets in your blood. When you're born and raised there and grow up and invest your life and blood and work into it, it's in your blood. But there's no job, no company worth that much stress. The work, life, family balance has to be there. So when y'all start a business, remember that. Don't destroy your family over a company. Money's nice, but family's better. Well, y'all have a good day. Good luck. Take care. God bless you. If you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell. If y'all have a story of your own, let me know. We can get together and tell your story. Y'all have a good day.